I need to say this. There were 2 moons, and only I could see the wrong one. It started on a Tuesday night. I came home late from the store, tired, keys in my mouth because my hands were full, one bag slipping. I looked up out of habit. I like the moon. My mom and I used to point it out on drives when I was a kid. There she is, like it was a neighbor. It soothed me. That night there were 2. One where it should be, high and fat, not quite full. The other off to the side, lower, wrong. It looked nearer, like you could throw a rock and hit it. It wasn't the same shape. A rough half, like someone had cut it and left a bite. When I stared, it sat still. When I glanced at my door to work the key, it jerked a little like it skipped frames, sliding left in a short jump. I thought I was tired. I laughed to myself. Great. Eyes are broken. I fished my phone and tried to take a picture. The screen gave me 1 moon. I pinched, tapped, took 3 shots. 1 moon. I took a video. The video showed the streetlight and 1 moon and a moth hitting my lens. I stood there dumb with my bags. I kept seeing the other one in the top of my eye. It kept ticking closer when I tried to catch it, always just catching up to where I looked. I went inside, set the bags on the counter. The cup I keep by the sink had water in it from that morning. It rippled. Just a little tremble like a bus driving by, only there was no bus. The building was quiet. My cat, Fern, trotted in, sniffed my shoe, looked toward the window, and scooted under the couch. I called her. Fern? Cayman, it's just me. She wouldn't come out. She stayed under there all night. Little paws tucked in, eyes flicking at the gap under the curtains. I kept telling myself it was nothing. I washed out the cup. The water swirled, clung to the sides like it didn't want to settle. I closed the blinds. I tried not to look. That never works. The next night, I went outside on purpose. I wanted to catch it in the act. I leaned on the railing, cold metal under my palms. There were 2 again. The real one a little dimmer now. The wrong one brighter, still in the wrong spot. I looked straight at it and it stayed. Looked at the parking lot to check if anyone else was out. When my eyes came back, it had jerked a finger's width closer to the top of the building across from me. I tested it. Looked. Look away. Snap back. Each time it did a tiny hop, like those videos of a spider moving when you don't watch it. It made my stomach go light. I recorded it, screen on, me talking, pointing my hand. On the playback it was boring. 1 moon. My finger jabbing at nothing. I sounded a little breathless. I posted it anyway to our group chat. Jay replied first. Bro, it's Jupiter or whatever. Night mode makes weird stuff. Sana added a crying laughing emoji and a heart. 2 moons equals bonus points, she wrote. I'm serious, I said. There's an extra one. Maybe you need sleep, Jay wrote. He always says that. He works mornings and thinks anyone awake after 10 is diseased. I didn't sleep. Later, near 2, I woke on my back with my arms pinned. My eyes were open. The room was dim. I could see the ceiling. I tried to move my hand and it didn't move. I couldn't turn my head. Something heavy sat on my chest and buzzed. Not loud, like a fridge almost. I could breathe, but only slow. The darkness in the corner by the window felt long, like it would farther than the wall. My throat made a sound. It lasted a minute, maybe more. Then it let go. My skin felt damp. The blinds leaked a little light. I didn't go back to sleep. I lay there and counted my heart. In the morning at work, Shadows weren't right. I stand at the register by the front window. The sun was out. But the shadow of the door stretched too long toward noon. I watched it crawl. It moved like it was being tugged by a string. Customers came and went. "Beautiful day," one said. I smiled and nodded. The air felt thick, like before a storm, only the forecast was clear. At lunch, I checked an astronomy forum I lurked on. I made an account and posted. "Can anyone explain seeing two moons? Cameras show one, but I can see two with my eyes." I expected jokes. Some guy named Pluto Answer wrote back, "Trolling. Ahmad told me to read the FAQ." I wrote, "I'm not trolling. It jumps when I look away." I described the jerk. I hit refresh and got an error. When it loaded again, my post was gone. "You have been banned," it said. Reason: hoaxing. That made me angry in a way that burned hot behind my eyes. I closed the tab. I was shaking. It felt like being told not to talk about it had weight. At home, the cup by the sink rippled on its own again. Fern didn't come when I shook the treat bag. She hid behind the washer and hissed at the window. I lifted the blinds a little to peek. The wrong moon sat there like it was waiting at the edge of the sky, nearer than before. The right one was thin tonight. The wrong one was fat. My head ached between my eyebrows. I pressed it. Dull pain pulsed. I marked a little circle on the calendar by the fridge. I like calendars. It helps me keep track. My dad always kept one on the fridge with bills pinned under a magnet. He'd cross out days and put X's. Felt safe. That night I drew the wrong moon. Left side dark. The next night I drew it a little wider. My head pounded when I did. The real moon didn't match. It was going the other way. It bothered me to look up, so I watched it in the mirror. In the bathroom, if I stood by the sink, I could see the apartment window behind me. The mirror showed the building across the lot and the square of black beyond it. In the mirror, the wrong moon's phase was crisp. It hung over my shoulder. It looked closer in the glass. I stared. It didn't move. I looked down to spit. I looked up and it had slid, just an inch toward my ear. At the bus stop, two kids were playing, little ones, maybe 4 or 5, while their mom scrolled. The boy pointed to the strip of sky between buildings. "Bright circle," he said. The girl said, "It's right there," and smiled like it was a secret. The mom shushed them. "Don't stare at the sun." It wasn't the sun. It was 5 in the evening. The sun was behind us. Their dog got up and dragged the leash under the bench so it could turn its back to the sky. I checked my weather app for rain. It started showing tide times for a beach 3 states away. It had never done that. The widget kept updating, little arrows. High tide 1:37 a.m. I rolled my eyes. I live in an inland city. But that night at 1:37, the pipes in the bathroom gurgled. The toilet water shifted and sighed like someone was leaning on it. The cup on the counter trembled in little rings. I tried again to prove it. I set up a live stream. I told Jay and Sana I'd go live at midnight and show them the sky. I propped my phone in the window frame. I sat on the floor with my knees up, watching the numbers climb. 3 viewers. 5. Then 2. I panned slow toward the wrong moon. The screen pixelated, static, froze, then black. I could hear myself cussing in the clip. I restarted. Same. When I switched the camera to face me, my own face showed fine, a little washed out. The second I turned to the glass, it died. "Your connection is unstable," my phone said. It wasn't. Full bars. I tried recording to the phone instead. "One moon," me sang. "There, right there, and nothing to see." I felt stupid and crazy and mean. It got worse when I talked about it. That was the part one didn't notice at first. I was on the phone with my sister, Lena. She lives across town with her kid. She's practical. She won't let me wallow. I love her for that. I told her about the wrong moon and I could hear her smile through the line. "You need a hobby," she said. "Take up running." "I'm serious," I said. I walked to the back door so I could look up while I talked. I didn't mean to. My body did it. I described the jerk movement to her. I kept my eyes on it. I said, "It moves when I look away," and I tested it, looking at the meter closet then back. It hopped. I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. "See?" I said, "because that is what we say even when no one can see." The wrong moon slid behind the power lines and part of it glowed, like it was closer to the wires than it had any right to be. On the line, Lena stopped talking. "Hang on," she said, soft. My head. "You okay?" I asked. She made a sound like pain. It's like someone's pinching. Just now. Right here. I could picture her pressing her fingers just above her nose. I do that when I get one. I realized I had been talking about the wrong moon for 10 straight minutes. My own headache flared hot. I turned away. For real, I turned my back to the door. The pull in my chest eased. "Let's talk about something else," I said, too fast. "How's Ava?" She breathed out. "Better." "Sorry." "Weird," she said, and forced a laugh. "Weather." We changed the subject. The ache seeped out of me like someone loosening a belt. I hung up and felt sick. At work the next day, I tried to show Jay. He came out to the loading dock to vape. I told him, "Look right there, above the laundromat, to the left of the billboard." He humored me. He squinted. He was about to say a joke when his face changed. He pressed a hand against his temple. "Ow! Ow! Dude!" "No," he said. He bent over with his other hand out like, "Stop! It feels like a nail." "What is that?" He shivered like he had a chill. I grabbed his elbow. I said I was sorry. He shook me off. "Stop playing," he said, and went inside. He looked at me like I had shoved him. By then, I had 2 weeks of little circles on my calendar. The wrong moon waxed when I did. When it got big, my head pounded. When it thinned to a sliver, it let go. At its darkest, I was stuck in bed, eyes open, chest pressed flat like ocean on me. Some nights I could almost move, wiggle a finger, and then something in the corner would lean and I'd stop. I'd wake with my heart racing and a nosebleed crusted on my lip. I was changing my pillowcase every other day. I started sleeping on towels. The regular moon was on a different schedule. I watched it out of the corner of my eye, indifferent. The wrong one watched me. It liked mirrors and still water. In the morning, I saw it in the back of a spoon, small and bright like an eye. In the window of the train I took once to see Lena, I saw it hovering just over the side of my head, and no one else on the car seemed to notice. An older man across from me kept rubbing his ear and smiling like he was trying to remember a song. A kid down the car asked his mom why the circle was following that lady, and the mom pulled her close and said, "Don't point, honey." She wasn't talking to me. I went down to the river because of the tide thing. Our river is slow and brown. It doesn't do anything dramatic. My app said low tide at 5. At 5, the garbage scum near the concrete eased back and the smell got stronger like the river was sucking in. A shopping cart down under the bridge shifted and made a long scraping sound. A dog across the way tried to run the other direction, and the man holding it had to dig in with his heels to keep it from bolting into traffic. I spat off the railing, and the spit fell sideways. That night, I promised myself I wouldn't talk about it. I lasted until dinner. I told Sana at the diner. She stirred her coffee and listened. She bit her lip. "Okay," she said. "Do you want to go to urgent care?" "No," I said. "I'm okay. It's real. I know how it sounds." She glanced at the big front window without meaning to. The lights outside reflected so you couldn't see the sky, but the reflection in the glass had a smear of white near the corner. It looked like a thumbprint. Sana blinked, leaned her head like she'd drop it to her shoulder. "Whoa," she said under her breath. Then she straightened and smiled at me the way you do for someone you love who's freaking out. "Let's get pie," she said, and handed me a napkin. My nose was bleeding again. I hadn't even felt it start. I saw it then. The wrong moon wasn't just near. It was hungry for me. When I described it, when I measured it, when I texted paragraphs to strangers, it came closer. When I shut up, it drifted back up like a balloon. It wanted me to keep it secret so it could move without being watched. It wanted me to stare so it could use my eyes to pull itself down. Both things at once. It was like dreaming with your eyes open. I stopped posting. I deleted the group chat videos. I pulled the curtains during the day because the shadows on my wall moved like the hour hand was broken. The bookshelf made a long rectangle that slid across the room at noon, then reversed like it changed its mind. Fern stopped sleeping on the bed. She crawled into the laundry basket in the closet and made a den. She would not look at the ceiling. If I picked her up, she burrowed into my chest and dug claws into my shirt. I went to see Lena less. I told her I was busy. She finally said, "Come over Friday." No excuses. Ava was home from school. She ran to me, stuck to my legs, showed me a drawing. 2 circles over a house. One big, one smaller and lower. Lines off the small one like it was shiny. "Is that the sun?" I asked. "It's the bright circle," she said, matter of fact. Lena shot me a look over her head, mouth tight. I folded the drawing. My hands shook a little. I felt the tug in my chest, gentle, like a hand resting. My calendar at home had 3 circles left to go before the wrong moon would be full. I hadn't wanted to think about what that meant. We ate dinner. I kept my mouth shut. After, while Ava brushed her teeth, Lena stood with me by the sink and whispered, "She's had nightmares. She says the walls move." She rubbed her own temple. The skin there looked pink. "I keep waking at 3. I never used to." "I'm sorry," I said. The wrong moon sat above their building in the reflection of the dark window. It had grown again. It fit perfect between 2 rooftops like it had been waiting there all along. "I'm calling a therapist," she said. She was trying to joke. For both of us. "I'm sorry," I said again. I walked home. The nights got loud. The buzzing was worse. It wasn't in the room anymore. It was in everything. When I ran the tap, the water hummed at the same pitch. The fridge clicked on and matched it. My head had a pulse like a second heart. I sat on the tile floor and pulled my knees up, and I wanted to scream because it was like pressure in a small space you can't get out of. I tried to leave town. I packed a bag and drove west until I hit the interstate. The wrong moon came along low in the passenger window. It glided across the tops of the trees. It did those small jumps every time I checked my mirror. The car radio fuzzed out. The lights on the dash flickered. A mile later, the engine coughed. I pulled over under a sign and sat with my hazard lights tick-tick-ticking and cried. I turned around and drove back. When I got home, my kitchen clock was 4 minutes slow. My phone was 2 minutes fast. The microwave beeped on its own. I marked the days. I stopped looking when I could. When it got bad, I turned off the lights and lay on the floor and stared at the wall and counted my breaths and thought of nothing. When I talked about nothing, it let me alone. That's how I made the connection for real. It wanted and it hated eyes. It wanted mine. On the night before the full, I called Lena. I told myself I'd talk about anything else. We did for a while. Work. The neighbor's car. Our dad. I told her the story about the time he snuck us onto the pool after hours. How he held me under and yelled, "Shark!" until Mom yelled back at him. We laughed. It hurt in my ears. I was sitting on the floor by the fridge so I wouldn't look at the windows. The calendar was at my shoulder. One circle left. I had drawn it in with a heavy hand so it looked shiny. I could feel the wrong moon like a hand on the back of my neck. I kept talking because it softened when I talked about memories. It was weird. The words flattened it. Then I said, without meaning to, "It's closer." "What?" she said. "Nothing," I said. I didn't stop myself fast enough. I felt it slide. The kitchen lights dimmed and came back. The magnets on the fridge vibrated. The glass in the cupboard rang a little. "Stop," Lena said. Not to me. To something else. Her voice on the phone had a tiny echo. "Ow," she said. "God. Hang on." The line crackled. I heard Ava in the background. Small voice. "Mom?" Then a thud and a muffled, "It's okay, baby." I hung up. I didn't say goodbye. It felt like I was slamming a door to keep a dog from running into the street. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I stared at the calendar. I thought about how many people I had made feel that pinch because I needed them to believe me. I realized I could stop it. Not fix it, but stop it from touching them. It wasn't about proof. It was about attention. Mine had been a beacon. I had drawn it in with my mouth and my eyes. It wanted me alone. That was the part one could work with. I took my phone and hit record. I didn't script anything. I just talked. I said what I'm saying now. I sat at the kitchen table and told it whole, start to finish. I kept my voice low because the air felt thick, and I didn't want to set it off again. I said what it did to my cup, to my cat, to the kids at the bus. I admitted the way it liked mirrors and the way my body matched it. The way it punished anyone who tried to see through me. I told about the ban on the forum and how small and mad it made me feel. I told about the way my microwave beeped by itself at 3:13. I told about the spoon. I told about the wrong shadows on my wall. I told about the Tide app and the river. I said Lena's name and Ava's name, but then I deleted them and said my sister and my niece, because it felt like names might tug. I said Jay and Santa's names because it felt rude not to, but I hope that's okay. I said I was sorry. I said I loved them, but I was done asking them to stand under it with me. When I finished, the moon, my moon, was right at the top of my window. It pulsed thin, like a breath. It waited. I didn't look straight at it. I looked at the floor. I looked at the map of scuffs on my baseboard and told myself this was the last time I would think about whether anyone believed me. I put food and water out for Fern. I put the recording on a thumb drive and left it in a glass by the sink. That felt right. I wrote for Lena on a sticky note and put it next to the glass. I sat on the floor and breathed until my heartbeat slowed. I made 2 X's on the calendar instead of 1 to take up more space. Then I went where it wanted. I walked out and down the stairs and through the side door so I didn't have to pass the big front window, and around the block to the reservoir. The gate was open like always because the latch doesn't catch. The water lay black and flat, and you could hear the city like a long voice far away. The wrong moon hung above it, low and heavy. In the reflection it was bright and sure, not a trick. It fit in the bowl of the water like an eye in a skull. The real moon was behind me somewhere doing its own life. This one had waited for me. I stood at the fence and I felt the pull in my bones. Not bad, not good, just a tide. It had my breath. I thought about my sister asleep on her couch and my niece tucked like a comma under her arm. I thought about their soft heads and their little hands. I thought about Jay rubbing his temple and telling me to stop. I thought about Sana handing me a napkin without making a big deal. I thought about my dad's calendar with the days crossed out and how happy he was when all the bills were paid. I realized I could pay this one. So I said goodbye, out loud, to the water, to the street, to my cat, to the ugly tree in front of my building that shed sticky stuff in spring. I didn't look back at my window. I stepped through the gap in the fence and down the slope. The grass was wet. The buzz got low and deep like a throat singing. The wrong moon filled the world. I went toward it. That was the choice. I made it for love. And then it was easy. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, feed the algorithm, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. It's the only way to keep the stories coming. And if you're brave enough, there's another one waiting right after this. See you on the next one.